Well, here's to it.
Here we are.
Kick it high, as they say. And
don't shank it.
Yeah, don't shank it. Move it and groove it, but don't lose it. Or as John Lee Hooker said, if it's in you, it's got to come out. Only the best and later for the goblin. You met John Lee.
I shook his fish-like claw, yeah.
Was he an influence on you?
Probably as much as Alice Cooper.
Yeah. Because John was, I got to meet him, and I found him once you get, somebody very personable. He taught me a lot, because he was my first, when we had put together a band of art students, I convinced him that he needed a backup band. We couldn't play, but we backed him up.
You do an E chord, didn't you?
Exactly. But he was great. He was a quick story before we start. Right here, he was playing in a place called the Jazz Workshop, and I was such a fan. And I asked if I could come and hang out with him in the afternoon, and he said, "Yeah, Joe." He talked with a stutter when he didn't sing. He said, "But let me come on by the hotel, 4:00." And so I came by the hotel, and I knocked on the door, and come on in. I come in, and it's all dark, and there's 2 beds in the hotel, and John Lee is lying on the bed with his boxer shorts and white beater t-shirt on, and there's a bottle of Ballantine on the table, and there's a pack of cool cigarettes, and on the other bed is his guitar opened up like it's a beautiful woman laying on the bed. He said, "Come on over and sit down, take a chair." I'm sitting down, I'm really nervous, and I realize the TV's on.
Yeah.
And I look at the TV, and he's watching Lassie. And there's John Lee Hooker,
And why not?
So as soon as he realizes that, I've noticed, he goes, "Let me tell you, that Lassie's one motherfucking smart dog." But I'm here.
Trained by Rudd Weatherwax.
But I don't care, which is, to me, the attitude of great rock and roll. And you got it on here. I'm so glad you sent this out. But though I don't care, which is a needed attitude in rock and roll, we do care.
You're right.
And so that's we really care. We there's a point where we let it go, and then we don't care. But
right, just sort of what would the word be? Disconnected, but not disenchanted. Sort of like you do it, and you don't care what's going to become of it, as opposed to I don't care what we're doing. It's right. Like we've done it, and whatever you think, I don't care.
But how did the collaboration come about between you and Juliana? Because it's an interesting. When I first heard the single, I enjoyed it. But where is it going? Until I heard the whole album, it all, like you say, the coin landed on the edge. Until I heard the whole album, it all hit me.
Mm-hmm.
What it was doing, but I'm curious as how it all. When you said,
we've known each other for centuries now, at least 2, and her greatest contribution, she came out to my place, and I had a couple tunes. I said, well, this would be good to have a female voice on, and we did that and that. And I started playing her stuff that I had laying around. I got tons of stuff. And she'd be going, well, has anyone heard this? And I'm like, no. It's like, I don't know, it's a piece of crap. And it sort of took an outside person or vision to say, this is great, let's work on this. Let's play with this one. So like Have to Pee, for instance, I think I wrote that one night. Presumably, I'll write it for some young girl singer and, Mr. Pro songwriter and throw it out. And, it just got stuck on the pile. And But she brought a lot of this to life that otherwise would have just sat down in the basement and sort of rotted.
So she sort of acted as the interlocutor, sort of helping you sort of review it. And
yeah, I mean, you don't know your good stuff after a while, especially when you get a bunch of it. And I couldn't even remember, why do I still have this around? It's just because I lifted the chorus from this song and used it then and whatever. And it was refreshing, exciting, and fun to have someone who I liked and admired come in and hear the stuff and like say, "This is great, let's do this."
But when you're writing, some people say, "Well, it just comes out, in a channel." When you're putting it together, I know you're talking. How did that sort of how did the songs come about in a sense where you felt she was right?
Well, the first couple were the sort of country-ish ones, the Kiss and Break and Sorry for Tomorrow Night, that I wrote with her in mind that it would be good to do as a duet, And then once I heard our voices together, I thought, God, this is kind of, it's new for me. And I'm sort of the lone singer for all these years. And I thought, well, let's, try her on some other stuff. And she certainly wanted to play more of the rock stuff. But ask a question. I don't know how much to tell.
Yeah, but I mean, it definitely rocks, and I find it a very romantic record, and because I mean the themes of it, and just having Juliana on it, to me, there's a very I hear a certain exile sound to it, because her voice with your voice kind of does, in a sense, what Mick and Keith, because people don't realize how high Keith could get up.
Mm-hmm.
And so having her voice up there with yours gives that sort of same blend that I always, love. And a lot of people try to do it, but it's hard to get, where they mesh. And it's not necessarily like the Everly Brothers. It's a different kind of harmony, but but it's rugged, and it tends to work.
Yeah, a lot of her vocals were her basically just imitating my voice, my phrasing, and it's almost like my, sort of rough, and we joked that we call each other Sandpaper and Daffodil. It's like, 'cause I got this one voice and she's got this other, and it's like, I always thought, like, meld the two together. For her, she puts sort of something very lovely and makes my voice an easier pill to swallow.
Well,
on some songs, some shit.
I just heard the other day, What Kind of Fool, what was this, Sammy Davis Jr.
Yeah,
song?
What Kind.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, well, yeah.
How long ago was that?
63.
You cut that in...
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, 62. No. Fuck. I think my Sammy's version. Shit. I don't know, the early 90s, down the basement.
Because, I heard the song with, Sammy Davis Jr., we all know it, but you actually brought the song for me alive, because and that's what I love about, that era of singing where you can hear Sinatra do a song, Nat King Cole do a song, and someone adds something to it, and someone steals it, emotionally steals it.
Yeah.
And I think that one just knocked me out. That's a beauty.
Shit, I mean, I'm speechless.
No,
because I caught more crap for doing that, but in my gut, I didn't think I was owning the song. I just loved it. We used to listen to it in the van back, the mats, along next to our little Bad Brains and whatever. We listened to Sammy Davis and Frank and shit. And
no, I thought you stole it in the same way that I think it was like Fred Astaire was the original singer, One for My Baby, One More for the Road, and he did it kind of faster tempo, and then when Frank took it, I mean that's became his.
Right.
Stole it. So and I put the Sammy Davis Jr. on after it. It's a different song.
Yeah,
it's not as emotional and it's not as lyrically connected for me.
I guess maybe it's the Fool angle.
Well, no, that's the truth. But like Out of My System, I think when you get upstairs there on the bridge, and it has that, for me, that Dylan-esque kind of. There's just something that penetrates to me because it resonates when what I like about this record is that I can connect the singer with the song or the singers with the song, and it's real to me. And plus the beat. It's in to me it's what I loved about Talk Is Cheap. I feel in this it just has that sort of hypnotic. Once you allow yourself to get in, that's the key.
You're an astute man, because that was kind of the years of playing with a really great drummer live, and I wanted to kind of make a statement that if you could tap your foot to it, it's got a good beat. Is it a machine? Is it a tambourine? Whatever. It's like, it's not putting the drums in such an important role where it takes over the song. So it's about the words and the voices of the two singers.
No, and also, why I say on Exile, some of the mixing too has that where the voice is there, but you gotta, on some songs it's, very present, but sometimes in a way that on Exile it meshes in with.
Very. I mean, I was working on some old ass equipment, and some of the shit, I mean, you understand, but some of it's like fourth and fifth generation, where I would take a demo of a guitar and whatever, throw it down, add a drum, add a bass, throw it down. I'm working with like 6 tracks. Then put Jewel at the end, double track her and mix it down. So by the time you get to the end, my original vocal is way down there. And I never had a problem with that. I mean, the Beatles did it.
Yeah. That seemed to work.
It seemed to work for that combo, yes.
I think it works on this, and so Meet the Guys, where Juliana takes on that. Was that already written, or did she help?
I wrote that.
Right.
I wrote that for her, pretty much. That was the one or two, like on tour with the band, and we were hanging out, and it was one of those like insty songs. Need the guys to know it. That girl's gotta go. That girl's gotta go.
And on Done, 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 to me that grabbed me. And I thought, the way it cuts, that the album, sort of seemed to be, okay, we're done.
Yeah.
And then comes this very beautiful ballad that, takes it out. And at first, because I was, and then it took me a couple of plays to realize that was the right sequence choice, though what happens is people will deconstruct it to their own self. I think the job is, you put in a piece of work, it's got to have a beginning, middle, and end. Whatever they do with it after that, we don't care. But until then, they got to hear it the way you want.
And, all that crap became debatable, and to her credit, I mean, Jules wanted to do Dun, Dun, Dun. I thought it was a throwaway in my pile. And she said, no, let's do that. And then I think very late in the recording process, I played her hands together. And she said, this has got to go on, So in a way, she was almost executive producer, because I'd lived with all of this stuff for sometimes 4 or 5, even longer years. And, we tried putting hands together up in the running order, and it just, nothing could follow it. Everything sounded sort of trite after it, so.
Just because, Dun, Dun, Dun did sound like an earlier piece.
Yeah.
But that's what I kind of dug. You know, it was that attitude, the beat, and then Hands Together comes, and you know, it's the more I hear it, the more beautiful, you know, it gets. And for me, even like certain albums that have remained important to me, sometimes in the first hearing, you know, I might say, oh, I like it, but the impact of it didn't, you know, get to me until later on.
I agree.
And,
Well, yeah, the shit that I love too is not the stuff that you immediately blows you away. You know, you get sick of it after 2 weeks and a month, and I think this has got some sneaky ass legs that people are everybody's gonna find one they like, and some people are gonna find they like more than one a lot. You know,
no, I found that, and I also found in listening to it, you know, it because there's 16 tracks, I believe.
Yeah.
That, you know, there's a nice list, and so in re-listening again, oh yeah, I forgot about that track, and you it's like hearing it anew, which is a good experience to have.
I did that the other day where I hadn't listened to it in a month, and I didn't know what was coming next. And it's like, oh shit, we put that on, you know, and it's like I didn't know what was, and it flowed pretty nicely.
Now, what was the reason to just kind of leave no sort of credits, writing, recording, mastering, just like it's out there? Seek it, if you will. Those who are searching for it.
A mistake.
Well, an interesting mistake, I might add.
You know, I guess that's where the I Don't Cares really came in. I think, you know,
we forgot to put the salt in.
It's kind of like these are the songs, and we're making no bones about these songs, and it's like,
take it or leave it.
Yeah, we didn't want to put a bunch of extra information on there, you know, and I don't think it turned out exactly how anybody wanted, but that's, you know, par for the course. But yeah, we've all made records where you think, you know, the guy who put on the B string and all that shit, and it's like, you know, why?
But special thanks, Joey Gamoli.
Mm-hmm.
Joey Gamoli.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah. Another clink here. Now, you've dabbled in art.
Yeah.
And Juliana, I know, has.
Mm-hmm.
And so what about the graphics and the packaging? How did that...
We hired someone.
Oh, you did? But you both had to make a decision.
Yeah, it was down to the kind of thing of, I'm not going to spend an evening debating or ruffling either one of our feathers about, no, I don't like your work, no, I don't like yours. It's like, you know, let's have someone outside come up with an idea. And yeah, she knew someone who came up with, that was the first thing they showed us, and we thought, yeah, looks cool to me, you know.
But it is a wild stab.
Yes.
And I think a successful stab. Definitely not to the belly, not to the back, but in my humble opinion, to the heart.
To the heart.
And to the ear. But there's a lot of romance seeking in this. And it's a thing that we, I guess, I had an experience once that I brought some songs to some very big producer who remained nameless in LA, and he said, you know, these songs are just love songs. They're all about just love. And I said, yeah. And he said, he just didn't quite get it. You know, it's like it's all about love. And I think what I admire so much about this in this time of, you know, people talk about the music industry, but I think someone like yourself, I've always considered to be someone that didn't give a damn about the music industry, but wasn't the record industry. It was the art of making records. And you've always, maintained a degree of, intelligence, and there's a certain, it's like Hooker has a thing, Sonny Boy had a thing, Chris Christopherson has a thing, and I think you have a style that I find interesting, because this is a continuation of what you've done, but it's not a repeat, and there's something very fresh about this one, and being someone that knows a lot of your work, and I find the collaboration, the whole thing, there's a certain mystery that sits with this, and I think the back photo here kind of has it. It's
which was her idea.
Well, we could say, that great Sistine Chapel where they're just about,
It's supposed to sort of mirror the guitar front, but yeah, read into it what you want. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head, and I think that's why she isn't here, because like it or not, there's an element of romance to the record that is, deep, and in this day and age, you don't want to come out and lay it out there for people to speculate about and ask questions. I mean, the reason Born for Me is on there, because I wrote it about her, how many years ago it came out.
Huh. But when you chose to redo it, you had Sean Colvin.
Yeah, it wasn't my choice, though Don was the producer at the time.
Oh, okay.
And he said, let's get a woman's voice on here, and I'm like, sure. But, yeah, no, it wasn't about Sean Colvin.
So you redid it?
Yeah. And not from scratch, just had it on a damn cassette. That thing comes from cassette. Just a live bass drum vocal, 2 basses actually. And she heard it and loved it, and put her vocal on it. And it had closer to the feel that I originally wanted. That's how I wanted it to sound on that record way back then. And they sort of, when you got a producer and a label, they say, let's make this more of a tender boy-girl thing. And no, it was more like desperate than that.
And, there's this famous basement of yours. And, following you, people would say, well, what happened to Paul? Well, he's back in home, and he's in his basement, and he's just, chilling out. And how disciplined are you with that basement? In the sense of, do you carry notebooks around and then write ideas, or does it all happen sort of in the basement?
It's become intolerable now, because I don't know where anything is, and I don't know what, I'll just throw a tape in that might have something great on it and just record right over it, because I can't be bothered to look. I can't read my writing from however many years ago, and if I don't get anything else out of the basement, which I'm not saying I'm done with it, I got it. I got the goods this time.
Well, for fellow rockers that, get inspired by this and say, I'd like to do my, own record like Paul did, sort of on my terms, in my basement, what kind of equipment are we talking about?
ADATs, and some of it was cassette, And some of it was me forgetting how to work the stuff, and just sort of like I'd make a mix of something, put it on a disc, and then throw the disc back on the tape to get more tracks. And, sometimes the mix would be the one when the machine broke. I got a mix, and then the machine broke, and it's like, all right, that's the mix. And,
are there like compressors, limiters, or just basically?
Yeah, it was 2 compressors. I still don't know how to work, and I do it by ear. I'm not an eye guy. I've watched guys do it with Pro Tools and stuff, and they look at the lines and stuff, and I go with the goosebumps in the ear. And it's like if I feel it, it's like it's done, it's ready, it's
And what about once you got it together and assembled it? What about mastering?
I found that you can certainly wreck stuff in mastering, but you can't wreck a good song. You can wreck a good record, or you can wreck if you have a great record by, too much bass or whatever, we're going to bring out this and that. I think I spend more time mixing and monkeying with this stuff than I have in the past.
Well, it shows up because there's a really consistent sound, and it's funny because, I pulled out, I got locked in and hypnotically pulled in to it in the same way that I remembered from memory sense of, Keith's, the expensive winos, talk is cheap. And some of the power of that record for me was getting sucked in and into a track and just the beat and just the guitar, and you just get into a song and you're so in there, and all of a sudden the song ends and finally something else takes you somewhere else. And, and that happens a lot on this for me. And I even think that it's just the expressiveness of the vocals that I find to be well placed. I think this really, the more I hear it, it's like a nice jewel. You just keep rubbing it, and it just starts shining.
Well, that was the criteria. Whatever take had the magic vocal was the take, even if the drums were out of time and the guitar was out of tune. And that, I've forever fought with, the band and with the guys. And honestly, we tried to cut a few of these songs, Wear Me Out Loud and Back, with replacements. And for whatever reason, it didn't work, but I know the reason is that I didn't mean it. And, I meant it on these because those were first takes. Those are like live. A lot of times I write songs, I'll just turn on a beat, make up the song, sing and play live as I'm going, not quite know where I'm going. And that's where I usually get my best vocal, sometimes not my greatest lyric. But
I just finished reading. Peter Gurlick wrote a book on Sam Phillips.
Yeah,
and
I couldn't get through it, but
there's a lot of detail.
Yeah,
there's a lot of detail. It's very dense, and there's Pete has been so close to Sam and wanted to kind of make it definitive. But I found the interesting thing with Sam is, he didn't give a damn about technique. He didn't give a damn about where the placement. He did. It's like, I don't care, but he did care. But what he really cared about was getting that decisive magic chill factor performance. Yep. And he didn't care if the guy was in tune, out of tune,
or the telephone rang.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
and I find that in here. I think Sam Phillips would have loved the attitude in this. Because I think that's what he searched for, like with Charlie Feathers, with all these guys, with Jerry Lee and Johnny, and what I find growing up with Jerry Lee Lewis and listening as a kid, Johnny Cash and all that Sun stuff that hit me over the head, Flying Saucer Rock and Roll.
Oh, yeah, Billy.
I got a girl shaped just like a frog. I got a girl shaped just like a frog. Sleeping water down in a hollow log. But this has so much of that sort of, just spontaneous feeling that makes rock, what made early rock and roll so great.
Yeah, I mean, I fucking love my rockabilly, and that's the spirit of this thing, and you do it with computers and shit. You can fix everything, and people do. And it's like, well, why do you want to compete with that? Everybody can make a perfect record in the basement, bedroom, on the phone, and it's like, that's not going to serve anything, I don't want to make a perfect record.
When you wrote Swingin' Party, was that like an homage to Frank?
Yeah, as the story goes, yeah. You I probably stole the chords from Del Shannon, Del Shannon? The Joker Went Wild, Billy
just shaped
Holland, Brian Holland.
Okay.
Money makes you money, and money. He's a joker. That's where I copied it from. Everybody thinks it came from where or when.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it was like Frank at the end lighting the match, and
Are you a fan of Frank?
Yeah.
What was the first record, just out of curiosity, you bought that it sort of like hit you?
Oh shit! Probably like Tommy, The Who. My big sister and brother. I was listening to their shit, but I guess the stuff that I bought was kind of funky. I mean, I was getting a better education from them with Miracles with Jimi Hendrix and the Stones, and my brother was into Tony Joe White and all harp players and stuff. But
so how many brothers and sisters are there?
The 3 sisters and 1 brother.
And where are you in the chain?
Second to last.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
you had a lot of hand-me-down records.
Yeah.
Well,
Tons.
Because I had that same too with my older sister.
Yeah.
So I learned through her.
I know, me too.
And what was the first show you went to?
I was going to say, we went to see Johnny Winter, but James Cotton opened up.
Uh-huh.
At the Metropolitan Sports Center, and hearing the 64 reed harp blowing through like a 200-watt PA was like, talk about hitting you in the chest. I mean, seeing Walter in a club is one thing, but that kind of volume for, and it's like we're listening to Foghat and probably you guys and whatever shit. And it was like, fuck, this is like the real shit.
My first experience was we were all art students. Muddy was playing in town here, and Cotton was his harmonica player.
Yeah.
And so it was a small club, and they took a break, and we were trying to figure out how does he get that sound, And me and the guitar player were convinced that there must be a kind of machine, like a slapback or something. So we walked up, during the break to look at his amp, and all of a sudden this guy, I feel his breath behind me. What the hell are you doing? and I got startled. It was Cotton, and he said, "Man, get off!" We eventually became friends, and what he told me is, "You never go near a person's equipment, because in Chicago they would have multiple bands, and they would try to sabotage each other, pull a tube out of an amp, so when the guy went up, he couldn't play." And no. So it was Cotton, Johnny Winter. What was another show that sort of like hit you?
Probably seeing a garage band, in somebody's basement, like a punk rock band early on. Guys that we were all, had long hair, wearing flares and playing Allman Brothers, and we went to see some other kids, guys with dog collars and playing, Iggy and Mott the Hoople, and that made me think, like, wait a minute, we're trying to be Dwayne and Dickie, and it's like, man, this is exciting.
And When did you start actually playing?
13, something like that. Yeah.
And then what was it? Piano? Was it guitar? Was it
guitar? Probably piano. There was always a piano in the house. My uncles were like jazz, sort of swing cats. He never showed me anything, but.
Did any brothers and sisters play?
No. My brother sort of monkeyed around with the harp, but no, it sort of came from them. My mom plays piano a little bit.
So there was piano in the house.
She plays sort of, she didn't realize it, but she plays stride piano. I tried to tell her once.
Left hand.
Yeah.
But you picked up a guitar that was around the house, or did you go out and get one?
I bought it. My sister had it, and I bought it from her for like, $15, mowing lawns and stuff like that. An acoustic harmony, Sovereign. And, one day broke that, and then bought a Stratocaster for like $100. And my life has been like, get a job, buy a guitar, quit the job, Oh, I need an amp, get a job, buy an amp, quit the job.
When did music, how old was it when music really started to pay the rent, where you can say, this is it, the hell with the job?
That might have been, so questionable, but late 20s maybe.
And what kind of gigs were you doing? Was it fraternities, college kind of things, clubs?
Yeah, we did all of kegs, basements, schools. The replacements did mainly bars.
And were you always the chief writer? Did you collaborate back then, or did you?
No. I always was, because I couldn't. My range is so piss poor that I couldn't.
What range? What range? Are you talking vocal range?
Yeah. Well, at least if I try to sing along with the shit, in my mind, the stuff I like, or if you try to play a Led Zeppelin, like, okay, you come up with a riff and I'll sing to it. I could never get that. I never had that. I could never hit an high A, or guitar players playing those keys. It's like, man, you got to play in B flat for me. And it's, it wasn't the kind of guys I was hanging with, musician types. They were just rocker types.
Right. Yeah, well, that's so funny, because most rock and roll is all tenors and high up there. And preceding that, before that, was, all Sinatra, they were all
baritones. Yeah, I'm a bass baritone, actually. And it's like my natural range stops.
Well, join the club.
I hear you.
And baritones have a nightmare because everybody wants to get upstairs.
Let's play rock and roll, but let's play you name it. I can't fucking cut it. You want to drop it down 6 steps, and we'll try,
I know, because I was riding in the car, and you're with a band, and all of a sudden the song comes on. They're all singing.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't get upstairs there.
I know. I hear you.
And that's what I found was such a discovery is that when somebody would sing a standard like Tony Bennett, and then who's a tenor, and Sinatra's a baritone, I realized, well, wow, Sinatra's nailing the song, and it's 2 keys lower.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if he can do it, I can do it. And then, this same thing with Presley doing certain songs that he loved. He would drop a key, and Hank, Williams, on certain stuff, as things would move, they change their keys around. Well,
yeah.
They can do it.
Well, Hank didn't have to battle, that.
Well, he was young, too.
Marshall amp.
No, yeah.
Right there where the vocal is.
But Merle Haggard, who I really love, I follow his career and things like, Today I Started Loving You Again, it's start in F and then make it so, B, then it gets down to E, and where he's sitting down. But, yeah, baritones have a hard track in the.
I know. Jim Morrison maybe pulled it off.
But you pull it off, and you're hitting some high notes.
Well, yeah, I've learned tricks, and I've read stuff, and the whole thing about making Tina sing beyond her range, and that gave her all that cracking stuff. Yeah, I know I can get up there. I can't hit a pure note right on the button, but I can allude to it, you know.
And, you know, I mean, it's nice to have a partner, you know, when you're dealing with stuff, because obviously, as you said, Juliana helped frame it and help make some decisions when you're caught, or maybe inspire you to continue.
Very much so, yeah.
And, you know, both of us coming out of bands, I know one of the things that I found having to become a solo artist was there was a great freedom, but then all of a sudden a great fear, because there's the sense of we're a gang. We're going to hit it tonight. Yeah. We did great tonight. But there's a lot different when you say, I want to go out there, and me. And that's what I found so interesting when you did this solo show, where it was really, you know, freedom to do, but also far more, you know, it's more of a tightrope walk, because it's all you.
I know. And this partially, I don't think I wanted to like make a solo record right off the bat after, you know, the reunion with the band. It was like, there's something from left field. I mean, I didn't want to be just Paul again. Here comes Paul, and
you know, I think this definitely does that. Also, what struck me, you know, I know it, but when you rediscover it again, man, you got a great right hand going. You can swing that thing.
I can, and
I mean, you're a great rhythm player. Besides, and some of the leads on this thing are really beautiful. Some of the solos.
Probably Jules played those.
Really? Oh, come on.
Little People, that's all Jules.
Little People, really? That's a beauty. Oh, love makes us do foolish things.
Yeah.
No, that's a beauty solo. I really love that one.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about that thing. That's an old little clip that was been laying around for, Christ, I don't even know.
Because the lady, you know, my gal is a huge, you know, fan. She said, well, you know, I don't know, it just sounds like a clip. I said, yeah, it's a clip, but it's a beautiful clip. It's like there's no beginning, there's no end. You're just there.
Yeah.
And the solo just really takes it. Do you remember what guitar that was? Because you got some mighty nice guitars.
I do. Yeah, I bet you that. I mean, I know it was probably when I first got that Soldano amp way back, and you know, I was probably trying to cut Prince that afternoon. I was probably feeling like insecure. I don't know if the Little People had anything to do with him, but no, I was just I hear him play. I've seen him play it. It's like every guitar player goes, I can do that, you know. But I mean, it's wanking. But there's a couple moments that, you know, I go outside and it's kind of interesting.
And what about the harp? You were doing a lot of harp on this one. You might have seen you on the solos.
Yeah. I blow and suck.
Blow and suck with the best of them. Yes.
Mine's almost empty. So I'll tell you, are you tight with the... Christ, tight, he's probably dead. Is Mr. what the fuck is his name? Dick.
Magic Dick?
Yeah.
I think as tight as one can be coming through is sort of...
hate his guts, huh?
How many?
Hate his guts.
Well, I wouldn't say that. Let's just say there was a lot of trash and destroy that went on. That there's wounds that are deep.
I hear you.
And it's sad because a group is like a love affair. It's a marriage.
Yeah.
And when it works, it's sensational. And when there's infidelity or some kind of the marriage deteriorates and there's a cancer in there, it's sometimes you can get over it and cut it out and move on, and sometimes it just causes an illness that just can't be reprieved. Oh, you know, we do get together and are, you know, I know how to be professional and deal with it. But it's...
the only reason I mention it is that when we worked with Jim Dickinson, I was trying to play harp one day, and he said that, you know, the guy alive is Magic Dick.
So Magic Dick can...
And I was saying, like, you know, what about Jerry Portnoy or Charlie Musselwhite? And it's like, he's the one.
We were playing once with Chuck Berry, who loved Lil Walter.
Yeah.
And Chuck took Dick's hand, put beer on it, spilled it all over him. He started rubbing. He said, I know that white's going to come off the way you play it. And Dick really does he's really studied the Sonny Boy and really got that Walter thing. You know, because it's funny because when we first met, I was a harp player and Dick wasn't too much into Walter.
Really?
He was into Junior Wells and Butterfield and Sonny Boy. He was more kind of country, you know, playing more of the country style. And I sort of got him into the, you know, tongue and how to, but once he got it, he took it. He's not very, he's underrated. I mean, a lot of people they talk about harp players, and Dick's kind of left out. But he really has the skills that he could sit with Muddy, and you know, like Paul Osher is another player that played with Muddy. I don't know if you know Paul, but he's Brooklyn, and now he lives in Austin. But he played with Muddy after like about 5 years after Cotton, and he really had the Walter thing. But your harps are mysterious, you know. It's because it's all, you know, it's like singing. It's all hidden. You can't. Guitar player you can watch. Piano player you can watch. But how you make that stuff, it's all internal. And that's, I think, what makes singers, you know, in the band the craziest, because we don't know if it's going to be in tune, out of tune. You know, the guitar player can get a cold, we get sick, ain't no show. Yeah. You know, so it's just mysterious. How are we going to hit that note? You know, I read somewhere that Sinatra said, they said, well, Frank, you've been doing it all these years. He said, no, I'm nervous until I know those first measures that the voice is there. Yeah. I can calm down. But every night I walk out, I don't know. I'm always afraid that it's just going to break.
Especially for a guy who doesn't have any props, you know.
Yeah.
Like you, I mean, you can always jump up and down for like...
Well, no, I can jump. I can still do. And that's
what, did you edit that thing that it was based on Bobby Day?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was choreographed by I apologize. You know,
Tony Basil?
No. No, who did all the great those
from back then?
Bugsley Berkeley.
Oh.
He choreographed that.
Really?
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
That was one of the last things he did.
Fucking right.
And I remember seeing it, you know, when the movie came out.
Yeah.
It was just so crazy. I mean, there's this guy jumping.
Yeah.
Kaboom, kaboom, kaboom. There's three.
Three hits.
But what happened was we did it on this Universal set. Mm-hmm. And the director was there, everything was all set up, and he said, you know, I had the idea for it. And he said, okay, Pete, let me see you start jumping. And I started jumping, and what I didn't realize was that jumping is the most draining thing because it takes out all the wind, so you have to really be conditioned. So we started, and he goes, oh man, he said, so what's the matter? He said, you're going to have to, you know, you can't be tired after 3 minutes. You're going to have to go. So I got so nervous, and I'm an insomniac. And so there was this new pill out.
I was going to say that.
Called Halcyon. So I called up this doctor in LA and said, I got to have this Halcyon. I got to get to sleep. Long story short, we were sitting in the trailer, and we're having a lunch break. And I said to the director, you know, when are we going to start this thing? When are we going to start jumping? And he looked at me, and he's like, and started laughing. I said, no, seriously, Frank, when are we going to? He said, Peter, are you serious? I said, yeah. I said, you've been jumping all morning. And what happened was, Halcyon, certain people took away short-term memory.
Oh.
So I took a pill, fell asleep, didn't realize I had a pill, felt I couldn't sleep, woke up, took another pill, ended up maybe taking 6 or 7 of these things. They had to break down the hotel door to get me out. Do the slap around. And so the first part of that, I'm doing it, but I had no memory of doing it. And I just remember, from lunch break on.
Thank God for film.
Yes, thank God for editing. But I had a whole page, Paul, of, what I thought was the questions of...
Maybe we should trade spots and analyze here. Talk about Monkey Island.
No, but what I was curious about, who instigated this project?
Me.
And so how was Juliana very receptive to it? Was she nervous about it? Was it something that, let's just try it and then see if we...
Yeah, she was, we're both nervous people. And, we teased ourselves by saying, oh, it's a demo. It's just a demo, all right? It's just a demo. We're going to cut a couple country songs and yeah. We had to approach it like that. We're not making a record. We're just, you're helping me clean out my house and get rid of this stuff. And we played it like that.
Just the phase.
Yeah.
When I heard that, what I liked about it was it kind of, in an abstract way, and I say abstract, it had that sort of pretty flamingo aspect to it. Mm-hmm. Which is a song I've always loved. It gave me that same sort of feeling.
You wouldn't have to be abstract to say that it's almost the Cop 7 melody notes without being sued. It's just a phase all over my pretty flamingo. Yeah, it's based on the DG, the open strings. Da 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 da.
No, when I say it has the same kind of feel without, certain songs that have, in the way that, Dylan has, I forget what the name of it is, but it's sort of, and
Norwegian Wood?
Yeah.
That would be the Beatles.
Yeah, but he has a song that's so reminiscent of Norwegian Wood. I can't remember.
It's probably like...
I think it's from Blonde on Blonde.
The open D chord or whatever, because there's some melodies that just, they come from Ireland or whatever. It's just that those open strings that make you want to sing that way.
And are you a fan of, when you mentioned in the notes Nashville, I was saying to my gal, I said, do you think he's talking about the new Nashville or the real Nashville? And she said, well, knowing Paul, he's talking about the real Nashville. But I wasn't quite sure when you said
I'm not the new Nashville.
No, I don't think you're in new Nashville, but when you...
No, honestly... get done touring with GarageBand for 3 years. What the hell am I going to do? And it's like, whip up a couple of songs, maybe sell them to a publisher. I know that there was interested in a few labels down there that wanted to sign me, and I wasn't ready to do that kind of thing. So I thought maybe I could slip them a few tunes and say, hey, see if you can't get, Candy and... Buford to cut this, or whoever the latest two are. So those couple Kissing Day and that Sorry for Tomorrow Night, that's a little more like, Patsy Cline, kind of the double entendre wordplay stuff.
Now, when do you find yourself, when you're writing, does it just come, or do you decide, I got to get down to the basement, I got to work on something? I mean, how disciplined is it? Because, I myself, always wonder how someone's work habits are, how they sort of get it finished.
Yeah, finishing is the hardest part. My habits have been foul as of late, and I think that's part of this is I can't write more when I know there's so many still down there. And, getting a batch of the better stuff out allows me to think, okay, now I can write some more. But it was getting to the point where it was like it was stacking up to where you
had to move the club.
Yeah, get it out of here.
And in the writing, I mean, how often do you can you do it here or there, or you got to sort of like go off and?
I'll get into a groove for a year. I mean, I used to write one a day a couple years ago, and I mean, I have an idea every day, but I don't have the discipline to like, I already shoot it down. Like, oh, then I'm gonna have to turn the machine on. Then it's gonna be a demo. And then it's gonna sound like that. And then it's like, fuck it. Unless it's the idea is married with passion, muse, inspiration. It just lays there as an idea.
Because they're so uniquely yours, and I just, and you've been prevailing and enduring for a long time. And I think there was a speech by William Faulkner where he said, it's the role of the artist to endure and keep through whatever, mess there is out there. And, certainly you've done that, and that's why I must say I'm a fan. And I'm glad that we're here just shooting the breeze.
We toast yet again.
And to the lady.
To the lady.
Miss Juliana.
Wherever she may be.
Feeling good, we hope.
She's fine. She's fine. Part of it was my fault. I mean, we changed hotels 3 times. And
well, I was telling...
She's not rock and roll where she can't fly by the seat of her pants and say, we're going to do this. She needs to have a plan. It's on Tuesday at 3:00 at this place, 2 weeks in advance. And that's kind of why I chose you, because I knew that you get it. It's like, if it falls to hell, you wing it and you make it work. And sometimes that's the best stuff. And,
oh, yeah.
And she doesn't quite work that way. I'm trying to teach her a little bit.
Well, that's what partnership's about. But, what I thought, Sorry for Tomorrow Night, it just reminded me, maybe I got the album, but something like Between the Buttons. It could have fit right there. There was a lovely melodic aspect to it. Mm-hmm. In the way that
I hadn't thought of that. I mean, I don't know where I was thinking when I was copping it, but
no, I don't think it's a cop. No. I'm just saying in the what we I guess in England.
I would have said it ruder, though. I suppose. I mean, it's almost too. Yeah, I can see the. Yeah,
because Between the Buttons had some odd, really nice melodies, but
mm-hmm.
but they kind of, were not as what you would think Stonesy, but they became Stonesy.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean, there was a delicacy to it that that album. It reminded me of. I believe it's Between the Buttons. You familiar with that one?
I mean, I've heard it and stuff, and I know. It's not my fave.
It's not a go-to. It's that sort of interim period.
Yeah.
I think was why they call it Between the Buttons. It's like
right.
between this one and that one. But that song, the texture of that song reminded me of that. And is there any plans that you and Juliana will get out there on the open highways and do some touring together?
There are no plans. I mean, anything's possible. I didn't want to make a record just so we could go get in the van and go play clubs and whatever. It was just kind of let this thing breathe, let these songs be heard. But anything's possible. She's writing now. She's writing, and I'm caught in between okay, just made a record. The standard thing is you go out and talk about it and play it, and I don't know.
Time will tell.
Yeah, because people don't. You've been around long enough. They don't want to hear your new record. I mean, if they're going to come see you, they want to hear that other stuff, and maybe you play 2 of those. And so, if I had it my way, I would have had another record to go in a month. I still got a month to go. And kick out 2 or 3 of these to say this isn't a joke. So there could be a catalog, so people wouldn't expect. We play 3 of hers and 5 of mine, and then 2 of these and whatever.